How's it going, everybody? Hello, gentle viewers. That was something else. 1 second. Hey, I'm just going to wait a second and let everybody kind of filter in here for a little bit. So we can just chill for a couple of minutes until we have a little bit more people in. And then we can commence talking about, where is my book? Leviathan Wakes. Yeah, I got a haircut. How's it going, Nathan? Jay Borg, Hope, Jose, George, Lionel, Clinton, Alejandro, Matthew, Nathan. And then I think I think I have the chat on like a slow mode, so I can keep up with the comments as they go through. What we'll do is we'll talk about the book itself. We'll go through like kind of like the blurb, what we were supposed to expect. Some of the characters, the world building that James Corey put into this book, and then just kind of have a discussion. I did. I watched Rebelde, but I mostly just listened to their music. And I was so excited when that guy from Rebelde was on Sense8. It's a nice scythe right there. I'm doing well. How about you, George? Is it your favorite series, Michael? I'm glad. I think we'll talk more about it, but I definitely have some thoughts over it. So I'll wait until, let's say, 8:12, and at 8:12 we'll just go ahead, and then when people come in, they can just catch up if they want to. Thank you, Fabian. Sense8's really good. It was so good. That's good to hear, Daniel. And I already have book 2 right here. I have book 2 ready to go. I actually thought I didn't have book 2, and then I looked at my desk and it was there, and I was like, oh, I thought I had to go buy it, but yeah, I have it. We are recovered, Clinton. Okay, I think I'm gonna. Oh, actually, I promised till 12. So 8:12. We're going for 8:12. Hopefully, we'll see. The Soulbound series. I don't think I've heard of the Soulbound series. Frankie, Sense8 is so good. I was trying to get Zachary to watch it, my husband, but Winifred is doing well. She's actually about to, in this next couple of weeks, go through her last round of chemotherapy. The Outsider by Stephen King. My roommate, yeah. Not my husband, my roommate. I feel like my hair is doing some weird thing right now. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, 1 more minute. Let me just, I guess, tweet it, let everybody know I'm live, and go from there. I probably should have tweeted this before. So bad at this. finishing tweet. Apologies for this, sending this out right now, and just putting this up. And 1 second. Wipe up. And that's it. Going down, up. Link, paste, done, and done. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see any of these channels. Would you read the Akotar series? At some point, I got Sarah J. Maas's first height like adult fantasy behind me somewhere. And I want to read that one first, and then like if I like it, I'll read the other ones. I read her first series. I read the first book in her first series, and I didn't really like it. But I know she wrote that a long time ago. I'm just gonna go ahead and start right now. And yes, reviews. Okay, so we did a channel read along this month for Leviathan Wakes, the first book in the Expanse series by S.A. Corey, by James S.A. Corey. And we are continuing this read along next month with Caliban. With Caliban's War. It's funny because you guys kind of get to see what my videos would look like without the editing, like all the weirdness that kind of goes on. That just makes this take forever, but it should be fun. Kind of wish I could put graphics on the screen as we go, but maybe in the future I will be able to do that. So in this world, it's set in our world, but in the future, where we have been able to colonize the solar system. And it follows James Holden and Miller. James Holden is the XO for an ice miner ship, and they have to go investigate a being that they have that's far away. And when they go and investigate it, this kind of like sets off a chain of events. And then you have Detective Miller on the other side, who is looking for a girl. He's been assigned a task to look for this girl. So this book is pretty interesting because in terms of setting, it has the Earth from where everybody came from, Mars, which seems to be, at least at the start of this book, the predominant military force within our solar system. And then we have the belt, and the belt seems to be everybody on the fringe. So you have where we came from, Earth, kind of the new beginning, which is Mars, and then you have like all the outcasts, which are the people on the side. And then Holden is actually from Earth, and he has a really weird situation where he has 5 dads and 3 moms, but all of his dads and his moms, he has all of his dads and his mom's DNA. I'm very curious if they're going to be talking about that a little further, just so that everybody knows I'm going to put out a spoiler warning right now. This is a spoilery talk about this book. Just because I want us to actually have some pretty good discourse on here, if we can. Are the comments working? I don't know if the comments are working. But so I hope that he kind of gets into that a little further. Like, what happened for that to be kind of like a very normal, like a marriage type situation with 5 people, a very big polyamorous situation. Is that very normal for Earth? I'm very curious. He also talked about the fact that on Earth, like the rarity of wood is very rare, and you get like certain like cheese and stuff like that, like stuff that would normally come from Earth. It's considered a huge delicacy. Like people are no longer trading on the black market with drugs; they're trading with cheese, and I find that very funny, but also like kind of pretty realistic in terms of stuff that would be pretty fancy out on the belt that you couldn't normally make. A commune, okay, I get that. It is an interesting idea to have a parenting co-op because I feel like honestly like even two-person parents like have a lot of trouble a lot of the times. So I'm always like curious as to like, oh, if you had two like a couple and then you had another couple and then they had a kid, it'd be so much easier to take care of the kid and take care of the kid's needs. I don't know. Oh, my shirt says Star Wars. Okay, so during this entire thing, Captain Holden is so we have Captain Holden. He gets to the ship. He figures out that there's evidence that Mars had like committed this terrorist attack, and he decides for no reason to do a live stream like this to the entire solar system and tell everybody that Mars did it. And it speaks to me in a way that like I feel like he doesn't he's a very idealistic guy, and I think we've seen this kind of idealistic character in a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, where for them just doing the right thing is the right thing, and they don't like to think of the nuance of whether doing the right thing can actually hurt a lot more people than it can actually help. But this is an interesting situation where guess what? It does hurt a lot of people, and I remember I've read so much fantasy and YA fantasy where like they always thought they were doing the right thing, but then hundreds of people or hundreds of thousands of people were dying each time. I'm like, maybe it's not the right thing when everybody keeps on dying. Like maybe you need to like check your morality a little bit and figure out what's up. Hey, is my mic okay? Just checking. Okay, just checking. Okay. I knew somebody who has two moms and two dads, and they turned out better than me. Nathan's. Um, And then we have Miller. And so I really like Miller as a character. I can understand Miller as a character where he's dejected. He went through his divorce. He kind of feels like he wants a family, but he's not willing to like go out there and like look for his his family found or not, because he does have a connection with the crew from the how would you guys pronounce that? The Rossi? I'm just gonna call it the Rossi with the crew from the Rossi, James Holden's crew. So he kind of like finds a family there, but at the same time not. I feel like part of his dejectedness is why he keeps on bringing his ex-wife, Julie, and eventually Holden, I guess, into his mind to kind of work out his own problems. It's him yearning for a connection that he really doesn't have. And I liked that kind of brokenness that we see in this man who is doing the right thing. I feel like he does the right thing more of the time than James Holden does, and they both kind of counteract each other where they're almost a balancing act. And by the end of this book, if Miller isn't there, I'm very curious as who is going to be the counterbalance towards Holden's super morals, I guess. But with with Miller, I almost I almost found it a little creepy. the the whole Julie obsession. I understood it, but I almost found it a little creepy. What did you guys think about Julie? Well, Miller and the Julie investigation. You thought Holden was too self righteous and thought he was better than everyone else. I like Miller better than he was. He was flawed and real. He was. Hey, Bill. He probably would have led Amos into a dark place because those two characters are similar but also different. Maybe Amos will be a bigger character going forward. I haven't read any of the other ones. Please, no spoilers for anything past this first book. Did I catch the relationship between Don Quixote and Holden? I did not. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. What connections did you draw? He did seem well. He seemed to fall in love with her out of nowhere, but I kind of like thought about it in terms of standing somebody. You know, we all have like little crushes on celebrities or some other people because like we keep on seeing them and we really connect to them on different levels. But it's for the most part, it's very very one sided, and that's kind of how I felt about it. But it also seemed very a little odd to me. I think he might have been hallucinating, but I think he was aware the entire time that he was hallucinating. I think he was like a little crazy and a little broken, but he was like aware of him being like that. Yes, Jeff. Pettigrew. It was a little forced. I don't know why any relationship built up between them. I don't know why Miller, who would feel sorry as someone who feels sorry for a victim. I kind of agree with you, but I also want to say I think Miller, just like his partners have been numbed down by this constant, police work and having to do things like it almost numbs you in a way. And I think that Julie, because it was such a unique case and such a person who that was different than him, because for Miller, he was stuck in a rut. He was stuck in his life. He was divorced. He was in a job where he was stuck. He couldn't start over. He even talked about towards the end of the book that he can't start over. Whereas Julie was somebody who left everything and just did what she wanted. In a way, Julie was what he couldn't be. What do you guys think about that? But also what I think is odd is that Julie. Well, I don't understand the romanticness of it because I felt like it could have been like love, but not romantic, if that makes sense. And I think for the most part, for the most of the narrative, it wasn't, but for a little portions of it, it was. His Oh my gosh, his realization that he was washed up. I was right there with him when she tells him, "Hey, who do you think they would give a guy like this? A washed up, divorced, drunk, who maybe was a good cop, but now it isn't a good cop." And I was like, "Damn," because we're as an audience, we're realizing it at the same time. You're right, Michael. I think Miller really wanted to be a hero, and I think he almost saw this as a death wish. I mean, at the end, it really is a death wish at the end of this whole mission that he puts himself on. More of a father daughter love would have made more sense to me too, Nathan. I think that would have been made more sense to me. Um, yeah, not love but obsession. Don Quixote is both self righteous and a fool. I agree. But we have this a lot. I feel like we see that a lot in science fiction and fantasy, where you have this like, oh, where is that book? Uh, like An Ember in the Ashes, for example. And An Ember in the Ashes, I feel like most of the characters are super always think that they are doing what's right, but so many people keep on dying and dying and dying. There's like no moral growth, and I'm hoping. I don't want to see Holden become what Miller became, but I'm hoping that Holden starts to contextualize, you know, his self righteousness. Okay, so we talked about Juliet. So let's talk a little bit more about um, Holden. So I looked up the only thing I looked up from the series, the actual sci-fi series, was what the Rochi actually looked like. I thought it looked cool. I thought it was pretty cool that they have this new vessel, and it felt very like Firefly to me while I was reading it. I've been very much wanting to read more space operas with this year, and I've heard such great things about this series, and I wanted to start it. But this series kind of felt like a promise. Well, this book felt like a promise. It definitely felt like a setup, like a Buffy season one, where a lot of it was just, hey, this is what we're working with, and then kind of a platform to launch into an expanse. It does look a little bit like the Firefly ship, but I think most things do. I also looked up the Novu. I will say that I looked up what the Novu looked like. And is everybody just going to leave like trillions of dollars just like hurtling into space? Is nobody after the Novu? Where's the Novu going? Is it going towards the sun? Because that seems like a huge waste. The Mormons are going to be so upset. And then let's talk a little bit about the crew and Holden. So they went through a lot of trauma very, very, very early on with the Canterbury being destroyed, a lot of people dying, going to the Mars ship, Shaw dying, them trying to escape, all the people helping them try to escape die, and then we're just left with Holden, Naomi, Amos, and Alex. Those are the four that we're actually left with at the end of this. At the end of their huge trauma when they end up on the Tycho station, and that was a lot to go through. And I really felt it when Naomi was out there in the bars just doing her karaoke and saying, "You know what? I went through a lot of stuff. I deserve a night where I can drown in my misery." I really felt that. So book one is absolutely setup book. I'm glad to know that because I really did enjoy it, but it wasn't my favorite. I would say as a setup book, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but it definitely leaves a lot of promise. You know, that's why I like talked about it as like a Buffy season one, kind of like something that isn't the best, but is definitely really cool to go back to. Does Miller come from a Mormon family? I mean, Holden. Does Holden come from a Mormon family? Oh no, he doesn't. Okay, everybody's. Oh, you can't answer that question yet. Um, the crew was from Nathan. The crew was reacting to one horrible situation after the next. It was a good moment when they finally were able to stop, take stock, and decide what their next step would be. Was going to be. I do like that about Holden's leadership style is that he lets people do what they want to do, and then if they kind of like get out of if they kind of skirt out of the way, then he's there as like a bumper to bring them back in. Yeah, Nathan, definitely join us. Nathan's way. Okay. Nauvoo sounds like Nauvoo. Okay. Hola, Anton. I'm glad that they explore it more in later books. Oh, he can't answer about the Nauvoo ship. Well, hopefully, I mean, there's a lot of questions that we have coming out of this book, and hopefully they'll be answered more. I found it funny where we kind of, especially for Holden's crew, we have this transition point for them from being a civilian crew that transports ice and water to becoming not military, but definitely a rogue crew who's used to dealing with a lot of military-like situations. Um, I mean, at the beginning of the book, Naomi refuses to even pick up a gun, but towards the end of the book, she seems to be somebody who's very comfortable in this, not picking up a gun because she's in the ship, but very comfortable in this like war torn situation, which is sad, but also good to see in terms of seeing this character development throughout. I did also like that the crew was mixed, Martian, Earther, Belter, and you do get all the points, and it's almost like a little melting pot itself, where you're taking from all these different sides because you have Earth who has its own unique side, you have Mars who has its own unique side, and you have the Belt who's really just trying to survive. Do I mirror any of the qualities of the characters to my own personality? I don't think so. Very much really. I don't think I identify with any of the characters, at least at this point. I don't think Amos is Amos ex-military. I'm pretty sure Amos is not ex-military. Ahorita no voy a hablar español tanto porque creo que la mayoría de las personas que están aquí o no solo hablan inglés. I hope that Amos finds a nice man and settles down on a farm or starts a. Well, I don't know. They didn't really. I think Amos is straight. I'm pretty sure Amos and Naomi are not ex-military. I keep on wanting to say Noemi. Not in my head. Hey, fair. Okay, so towards the end of this book, it almost felt like this book had a couple of different finales. Um, we find Julie Mao for Miller, but that's not really the end of it. They go back. Uh, he has his. I don't know. He is depressed throughout this entire book. But then you also have them build back up the Rochi, and it sounded like they're going to build it up even better than before, which sounded pretty cool. And then they have to talk about what to do with the station that is becoming this whole alien thing. And Miller has the idea of pushing it into the sun. And before this, we if we talk about Holden and Miller for a second, like I talked about them as two balancing points, but I do see a bromance in there, and I think Naomi puts it well. Whereas they're both very firm with their beliefs, and that's what they kind of clash on. But I think they both have a very definite bromance kind of connection. What did you guys think about their relationship? I liked the representation of science in this book. I think most sci-fi books you have to kind of really go into that. Um, Mostly Miller's part wanting to be a little bit more like Holden, and I did. I agree, Italian boy, because I feel like Miller, like we see how he falls kind of for Julie in her rebellious and in very new ways, but I think in other ways that he sees Holden as somebody who hasn't been scarred like he has been scarred and kind of wants to be like Holden, whereas Holden is so righteous that he cannot understand any view besides his own. I feel like, so I feel like they both have this kind of connection, and Miller keeps on coming to Holden's defense, and saying that he trusts Holden because he trusts Holden because he is his righteous sense of self. So, and in that way, that kind of benefits Holden. But Miller has this excellent idea, I want to say, but the excellent idea kind of goes to crap when the station Arrows decides to just jump a little bit, and then everybody freaks out. The whole world freaks out once they find out about this whole Protogen, and everybody wants to destroy it because they don't know what kind of risk it's going to have, and they know that it's supposed to be going towards this Earth. Yeah, Holden and Miller's relationship did grow close fast, but I do want to say that in the kind of situation, the high stakes situation they were in a shootout where you have to rely on somebody, and those kind of like situations, you tend to build relationships fast because you have to trust people very fast. And I think that's what kind of broke when Miller killed Dresden. It broke that trust. I feel like that Holden had, had in him. Miller sees Holden as a naive cowboy. Holden sees Miller as a self-righteous sheriff who shoots first. Amos's conversation with Miller after he gets kicked off the ship is where you see that change. You do. Yep. Exactly, Michael. Exactly. So their plan, which I think was an excellent plan, I'm sorry for the Mormons, but I think was an excellent plan, didn't work out. And so Miller had his suicide mission, so he decided to stay on. And so he goes into the ship, which I thought was pretty interesting. I wanted to know what was going on, and he finds Julie while Holden does this huge negotiation between the OPA, Fred, and everybody else to one, try to get everybody to nuke Eros, and two, after the fact, after Miller, again, I feel like they developed so much trust with each other after Miller convinces Holden that he can somehow talk this ship into going somewhere else to Venus. Then they're able to like redo the what is it called, trajectory of all the nuclear arsenal. So, but let's be real a little bit. I feel like we need to be real a little bit because that was a stupid decision. I feel like it was a stupid decision to leave it all up to one person. The entire fate of the whole solar system, was at stake. And it works so well narratively, but I feel like in a real life situation, I would not have made that decision. I would have been like, cool, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to shoot you down because the risk is way higher, I feel like, than the reward of just having that place crash into Venus. Plus, we don't know the the second and third order effects of not destroying Eros. You were glad when Miller killed Dresden. He represents everything bad with big business. I agree, because, and I agree with what he said. He said like just the fact that everybody was listening to him represents that at that point once he starts sounding convincing is when you need to like rip the cord. It was Miller's salvation, but they also talk about Venus not terraforming but forming into something different towards the end of the book. And I think that kind of draws us into. So we'll talk about right now. So again, no spoilers, but we'll talk about right now potential like theories or like questions that we have for the series, and then we'll kind of go into like a discussion, whatever anybody wants to say, and then we can probably round it out with a couple just normal questions. But so we have Venus that is full of this Protogen gook stuff, and we don't know what's going to happen to it, especially with it not being in a habitable place. So I feel like it's going to move because the Julie was able to move Eros, and I feel like they're almost going to be able to move um, this move Venus. Also, we don't really know the end goal for these people, for these aliens that sent this planet or this planet killer millions of years ago. It could have been for something completely innocuous. So I'm hoping that in the future we actually see aliens. It is called the Expanse, so I'm hoping that we are expanding. And I hope James Holden grows as a character. Hopefully, he gets that cancer dealt with, and he needs to start asking for more, because all he asked for, he needs to be better with a little bit more negotiations. Because right now you're captain of the Rotsi, and you're right now basically a notorious criminal. He needs to be better with negotiations because all he negotiated was for amnesty, and I feel like he could have gotten so much more for that little sample. Um, I I don't know where this series is going. I'm expecting it to expand, and I'm expecting something to come from aliens. What do you guys think? The other thing that it would have killed the entire crew if they kept tracking Nero. So it was great that they were able to get in touch with Miller and turn on those radar waves. I've not checked out the show at all, just because I don't want any other spoilers. But do let me know if I read the first season. If I read the first book and then watch the first season, is that going to be okay? If I kind of go like that, watch a season, read a book, is that a normal? Is that a good way to go around it? About it, sorry. Do you think there was enough fi part in the sci-fi? I do. I've read part of the end of the book where James S. A. Corey states that he wants to do a big, you know, space opera where it's very character driven. I do think that this is very character driven, and then it kind of expands and gets more and more epic. I love you love book two. Some shocking stuff happens. I hope I love it too. Season one and book one are pretty close. Maybe I will start it. I have to see if it's on a streaming service. You have to watch up to season one and a half. Let me guess. Does it end at when they're on what is it called? Theros Station? So is the I thought the Expense was canceled. Wasn't it canceled? So it was canceled. Seasons one through three were on Sci-Fi, and then it was bought by Amazon. Are they gonna have a sixth season? Let me actually check. I'll check if it has a sixth season. Oh, looks like looks like there might be. Final one. Okay, that's good to know. See, I let myself. You know how like you kind of dream up your characters as you read a book, but if you've already watched a movie or an adaptation, you kind of think of the characters. I was thinking of my own characters, but I kept on having Miller in my mind for some reason was in his 70s and was like it wasn't good for him. So I went back and I looked at the characters to kind of have like a visual. Holden looked a lot younger than he was in my mind, because isn't he like in his 30s, 40s? Plus, I'm not even sure if age works the same in this world. Like, is 30s in the Expanse world the same as 30s in our world, or with better technology, or do people age slower? I'm not sure. So I can watch up to season 2, episode 5. That is exactly what I'm going to do, Michael Robinson. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm actually super pumped uh, uh, by you, Michael Robinson, and all of like your excitement for this uh, series, and for the actual TV series. It's making me pretty excited too. Is a protomolecule good, bad, indifferent, or manipulative? I feel like it might be. Well, it definitely has a mission. Um, and just because it has a mission and it kills a lot of people doesn't mean it's inherently evil. Nobody's like, oh, I want to be evil and send. I guess some people could be like, oh, I just want to be evil and send evil stuff out into the far point. But I feel like it definitely has a purpose. So I was wondering how they were going to actually deal with that in the books, with the Belters being taller and lankier than the Earthers, who are heavier um, than the Belters. Nathan's way, I have to agree. I don't get heartbroken. It's just like you have to kind of buy into the character again, because sometimes the interpretation of the actor as the character isn't your same interpretation in your mind, but definitely kind of brings like a quality to it. Okay, so we're kind of wrapping up. I figure we'll do 5 minutes questions, just chill out a little bit, and then continue on. And then this month, I started up on the Discord. I think I'll link it to this live stream once we're done. The divisions for Caliban's War. I wasn't able to participate much with this one because I had COVID and I had to go out to the field, so I was exhausted the entire time, and I had to power through it. Maybe that also kind of affected how I really like how I enjoyed the book. So hopefully, a COVID-free, not super busy me is going to really enjoy this one, and I want to participate a little bit more. And it's a little thicker too. Do I have a favorite for the crew of the Rotzi? Um, I think Amos might be my favorite, honestly. I don't think we've gotten much from Alex. Uh, I like Naomi, but I feel like Amos has a kind of Jane-like quality that I'm very curious about. You agree on who they casted for Amos? The second book is going to introduce your second most favorite character. I like. You think that I'll be related to her, Marcelo? He's my favorite besides somebody you haven't met yet. Dun dun dun. For Omar, primarily primarily read sci-fi and fantasy, and then after that, sometimes I'll read queer fiction, especially the a variety where I know MM is going to be in, because you see that very rarely. And then my husband's kind of got me into horror, which I almost see first a lot of books as like a subgenre of fantasy. So Okay, Soulbound Book 1. I'm going to look it up right now. Okay, during my brief, just look at it. It kind of seems a little Dresden-y. Is it like the Dresden Files? It has an MM relationship. Okay, I'm gonna add it on my Goodreads. See, that's my thing. So I think I've recently established that it just doesn't feel realistic for there not to be gay characters in books anymore. It just doesn't. Like I feel like people have world built gay characters outside of books or outside of series, and it just doesn't feel realistic anymore. It just like we're here, like we make up like a very good percentage of the amount of people out there, and it just doesn't make sense for there not to be a gay character represented somewhere. I'm still diving into more classic fantasy, Nathan. I'm hoping to actually. I'm about to put myself out there. I have not read Lord of the Rings yet, but I'm hoping to actually read it this year. I've not read all the books for the Dresden Files. I've read up through book 4. I've heard of the Steel Remains. I'm gonna make sure it's on my list. I do have it on my one to read. Okay, I do. And Soulbound. Oh, what's my favorite MM romance novel read? So I'm a weird guy where I just like characters in romance novels at least to just be happy. Um, I have a video out there, my favorite MM romances. But there's a couple I go back to a lot. Crossroads by Mary Sexton, a couple others. Oh gosh, now I'm thinking about it. Because I mostly like the feel good kind of like romances because I feel like gay romance can be kind of tragic at times. So, how's it going, Fuck Club? There's definitely somebody out there. I'll read Soulbound, Nathan's Way, and probably it's weird. Okay, so whenever I read a like a gay book or except for What If It's Us, I regret that because I did give What If It's Us not a bad review, but not the best review. But my policy now is whenever I read a diverse book, if I don't like it, I'm probably not going to cover it on the channel except for like maybe saying I read it. If I do like it, then I'll cover it more in depth. Thank you, Jimmy. So we are at 50 minutes. So let's say 2 more minutes and then I guess wrap up. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week going? Is everybody excited for WandaVision? We're going to be doing so I'll put out an invitation probably here tomorrow morning, but we're going to be my husband and I are going to be doing a WandaVision watch along on Friday night, where people can tune in and watch with us. Well, I mean, you have to watch on your own Disney Plus account, but I'll press play at the same time. You should review during Pride Month, Nathan. Yeah, John Campos. Sorry, I don't know what you talked about COVID. I had to cough. Yeah, we had some issues with COVID, but so far, post COVID, everything's pretty normal. Okay, that makes sense that they would accelerate it because in a show you kind of have to focus more on. You have a little bit more time to focus on stuff like that. Yes, WandaVision. Bravo for the COVID vaccine. Buying a house is extremely stressful. I have to say, we bought this house and it is the most stressful buying experience of my life. I can't wait for the season finale either. Vegetables on Photoshop. It's cool. I don't have any symptoms anymore. I'm post COVID at this point. I'm bummed too, but guess what? We have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Zachary and I are going to be covering that similarly to how we covered WandaVision. You want to do a group read for Crescent City? Maybe I'll do that. I promised to do. Sorry, I promised to do a buddy read with somebody else, and we got like 100 pages in, and then we both like quit. So I promised her I'd go back to it. So I'm probably going to read Crescent City with her too, just because we have. I'm trying to get that Crescent City out of the way. But what we can do is we can start like a Discord chat about it, and then maybe if we develop enough interest, we'll just do like a live, like kind of like this too. Zach did buy it while I was deployed, so it was all very like weird for us. Hey, Jonathan, long time no see. I wonder so too. So I think for Nathan Nielsen, I think it'll be a lot more actiony, because I think that's the only thing I missed of WandaVision. Not that it needed it. Hopefully, I think the end of this. I think we're gonna get a lot of action in the last episode, but I really wanted some just good old fashioned action, and the Winter Soldier is the only uh before WandaVision, the only queer character that we had, even though he's not queer. It's just like he just feels queer to me. I do have a Discord server, Michael Robinson. I'll link it after the live, but it's also on all of my YouTube description boxes. Oh my gosh, Blake, you made it late. You made it to the game late. Oh, we're about to kind of cut out here soon. Well, I really, really, really enjoyed this book. And hopefully I will enjoy this one too. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it, but it might have been because I had COVID at the time. It might have been because it's a very much set up book for a series and it offers a lot of promises. But I'm hearing some pretty amazing things about this book, and we are going to be reading this for my channel for the month of March. And towards the end of March, we'll be doing another live wrap up, probably on here. I'll also be looking at other live possibilities, maybe inviting some of you guys to come and discuss with me. if you guys are willing to. Abaddon's Gate. So I have to get to at least Abaddon's Gate. So have an amazing night. You know, have a great night. Just treat yourself. Just have a chill night. And can you like this? I'm not sure. If you can, like, subscribe, ding the bell, and I'll catch all of you next time. It was really awesome catching up. Adios, gentle viewers. And bye. And